So how long does it actually take you to get from 25% to 10% body fat in that position where you can start to see your abs? I'm going to reveal the one thing that adds months onto somebody's cut without them even realizing it. So let's take a guy called Joe, for example. Joe weighs around 200 pounds or 90 kilos, and he's sitting around 25% body fat. He wants to get leaner, it's his first time doing this, and he's fully committed. So what's actually realistic? How many weeks and months does somebody like Joe need to fully transform that physique? The first thing we need to do is assess his current body composition and his lean mass. So we take his 200 pounds, we subtract the 25% body fat, and that gives us 150 pounds or 68 kilos. That's his fat-free mass. That's what he'd weigh if he had 0% body fat today. Now, if we factor in 15% as his target, Joel's goal weight comes to around 176 pounds or 80 kilograms. So essentially, Joe needs to drop around 24 pounds or 11 kilos to get to that 15% body fat goal. Now, the real question is, how quickly can he lose that weight? You're looking at somewhere around 16 to 24 weeks of dieting. Most people, yes, can push a little bit faster early on, especially if they're keeping their daily movement high on a very regular basis and staying fully consistent with the process. By the way, if you haven't already, click the first link in the description box. It's going to be a link to my free training showing you how to build a lean athletic look. It lays everything out nice and simple. It's also got some free training plans in there. Go and grab it. It takes 2 seconds. It's worth your time, trust me. But anyway, if this is the first time that you're trying to get down to 15% body fat and you've never seen your abs before, there are 3 simple things that you need to take into consideration. The first is that your training, your nutrition, and your sleep all need to be dialed in to make sure that you're getting the quickest amount of progress in the shortest amount of time. And to also make sure that you are losing fat and you're not eating into your muscle at all. All of that math that we did before only works if you're maintaining the lean mass that you've already got. For example, if Joe decides to start skipping weight training, just does cardio, under-eats his protein, and his sleep is all over the place, he's going to be losing muscle as well as fat. And at that point, his goal weight is no longer going to be 176 pounds. He might need to get all the way down to 170 or even lower to see the same result. And this happens constantly. People lose 25 pounds and still got a gut on them because they had far less muscle than what they thought. That's why crash dieting paired with no weight training is the worst way to go. Yes, the scales are dropping super quick, but always remember that muscle weighs heavier than fat. So if you're losing fat whilst also losing muscle, obviously that scale weight is going to go down very, very quickly. But that's not what you want. On the flip side, if you are doing everything properly and you're actually building muscle along the way, especially as a beginner, your goal weight comes down and you get to your initial target a hell of a lot faster with a better physique to show for it. Being smarter about this genuinely pays off long term. The second thing you need to consider is the accuracy of your starting body fat percentage. Most people who think they're around 20 to 25% body fat then get a DEXA scan or a bod pod or wherever you get your body fat measurements, find out they're actually close to 30% or even higher. That changes everything. So in Joe's case, if he's actually at 30% body fat rather than at 25%, his goal weight drops to around 165 pounds or 75 kilos. That's an extra 11 pounds that he wasn't expecting to lose, which means more weeks in a deficit. So be really careful when it comes to these smart scales and in-body machines in the gym, because 9 times out of 10, they tend to be very generous. You've got to think an honest assessment in the beginning gives you a realistic timeline so you fully know what you're getting into, which matters a hell of a lot, especially when you're doing this for your first time. The third thing is just life. Because if you look back at the previous 6 months, same with me, there's probably been a lot of different things and a lot of different events that have come up that you didn't probably plan for. Holidays, work stress, family stress, whatever it may be. And at these points, again, as you'll know from previous experience, it's very, very easy to come out of that deficit within those periods of time. You might stress eat a little bit more. You might go out a little bit more. You might have to eat on the go a little bit more, right? All of these things are technically a little bit inconvenient to your journey, which again, you're not going to be able to plan for. So you've got to think what looks like a 4-month diet on paper. 9 times out of 10, it's usually looking at 5.5 to 6 months at least. Remember, you're looking at 4 months that you're pretty much perfect. You've got no plans happening, right? You've got nothing coming up. You've got nothing that's going to throw you off. That is 4 months of pretty much perfection, which me as a coach, I would never ask a client to do anyway. But as long as you know that, as long as you have that expectation, then again, we're all good. And you've got to reframe it. That's not failure. That's just how life works, right? We can't plan for it. Life's always going to happen. So make sure you're building some buffer and some flexibility at the start of this journey. So the bottom line is going from 25% to 15% or 25 to 10% is going to probably take a lot longer than you realize. You might not want to hear it, but that is simply the truth. The most important skill to develop, which I still struggle with, is patience, especially when you're new to this. What's helped me is always try to look back on how much you've improved from that current point where you're assessing to the actual starting position. Literally, it's just you versus you. Don't compare. I know it's super easy, but remember, you don't know what's happening in somebody else's life. You don't know how much they're training, how much cardio they're doing, if they're potentially on some form of fat loss drug or steroid, right? You don't know the full picture, so you cannot compare yourself to that. You and only you dictates what success looks like on your specific journey. And also don't forget that getting lean is a skill. The first time is always going to be the hardest. When you want it to get to 15% and then you want to get down to 10, that 15 to 10 is going to be a hell of a lot easier than getting from 25 to 15 because of the skills that you've learned, because of the habits that you've built, because of the muscle of consistency that you've built. Over time, you'll figure out your ideal calories, you'll figure out your ideal macros, you'll figure out your perfect routine that's going to allow you to be consistent even when shit hits the fan. And most importantly, you're going to know how to bounce back when these life events happen to you. Whereas in the beginning, it might set you back for a week or two, just being honest. All of this gets easier with experience. Now, the biggest mistake that I see, what adds months onto people's cut, is covered in my free training plan. The link is in my bio, go and grab it. It takes you 30 seconds. It's gonna get sent straight to your email, and I wanna know exactly how you're getting on with it. That's your lot. Thanks for coming. Peace.